That's funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
I found enjoyment from that.
It's just such a, as Kobe Bryant once said, that's a Bikram yoga stretch to get that far. We're back.
We're back.
I don't even know what episode we're on.
This is I think this is our 10th.
Is it really? Double digits.
I think so.
We're there.
Well, let's check.
We might not be there, actually, guys. Sorry.
It's either 9 or 10.
We have X amount of episodes.
Yes, 1, 2,
so we thought we'd do something special for today.
7, 8,
This is going to be our first official true crime episode. No, I'm kidding. We are another true crime podcast. That's exactly what you need in your life. No, but we're gonna cruise through this today because we've got a good discussion coming up about Insidious, the Red Door, Chapter 5.
Yeah.
Got Secret Invasion on deck.
Yeah.
We've got new music to be had by all.
We do.
And that's about it. That's what we're gonna talk about.
Very few news topics.
Yes.
We
do have a couple though.
We do.
I need to look up who we said we are going to talk about because I don't even remember who it is.
For the news topics?
Yeah, but I know what it was. Like, I know that the new Superman cast has been announced, and that's what we were going to talk about, but I don't even remember who they were.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember who they said they were playing.
I know. So the three people that they said were being played were, we have Hawk Girl, we have Invincible Man or Mr. Invincible, whatever he goes by, and Green Lantern.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't remember any of the actors / actress name, but
yeah. I remember seeing them and feeling like kind of similar to how I did about David Cornsweat, Sweaty Corn. Just in that, like, I don't really know them from anything, but they seem like I'm willing to give them a chance because like they look the part.
I swear I've seen this Green Lantern dude somewhere. Let's find out who's playing Green Lantern.
And I will say, like, what was this? Nope, that's not the right cast. It's showing me the 1983 Superman cast. But I have been wanting to see Hawk Girl and Green Lantern for quite a while now, at least done properly. And I'll say, like, even on a rainy day when I'm by my lonesome and I can just really feel how I want to feel, that I do enjoy the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern just because it's Green Lantern and it's like as close as I've gotten to like having something. And it's sad. It's depressing. I leave watching the movie depressed because that's all I have.
Yeah.
But like I will be honest, I just watch it because it's nice to see the character every once in a while.
You've seen that more than once.
Yeah, I'd say I watch it not frequently, but like if it's been 4 to 5 years and I haven't seen Green Lantern, I'll give it another watch.
Huh.
Yeah.
I can only say I've seen it one time in my life.
I like the guy that the evil dude that gets his head gets all big. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's just so poorly done. It really is a bad movie, but I will say I just enjoyed seeing the character. And so point being, I'm excited to see the character actually hopefully done right. And I think that James Gunn can do a good job with a character like that.
Yeah. So at least for I found Green Lantern, it's Nathan Fillion. Wait, is that how you say his name?
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, Fillion. I swear I've seen him in something. Oh, he's in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. He's the security guard. I'm pretty sure. When they like infiltrated in their little Among Us suits. And then he's like, yeah, he's that guy.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But that might be the only thing he's in the new Suicide Squad movie.
I don't know that I ever saw that.
It's pretty good. It's pretty funny.
I heard that, but the first one was so bad that it just made me not even want to reconsider watching.
No, it's like
at all.
It's like way better than.
No, I know, but it's it's not hard to be better than the first one, but yeah, I will say I liked the portrayal of Hawkman in Black Adam. I thought he was one of the cooler parts of the movie. but I don't. He's like, I've always liked Hawk Girl's character over Hawkman,
Right.
especially in the animated series.
Right. I agree.
But I guess we're just gonna have to see. It's
Yeah.
the like to say that I'm excited just is a lie at this point.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to this movie. I never enjoy when a superhero movie feels like it has to rely on other big superheroes.
Yeah.
So like I don't like that Green Lantern's in this because I feel
Mm.
like Mr. Invincible and Hot Girl are more so side characters. Can't see a solo film. Like it could probably happen,
Mhm.
but I'm not looking forward to a solo Mr. Invincible or Hot Girl movie.
Yeah.
But you could very well see Green Lantern as a solo film.
Yeah, you
So
should.
like
You really should.
right.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think there's a fair amount of characters like that I think deserve their own films, but it's really just like the state of how these movies are being made at this point, and it is kind of that like need they have to be so reliant on so many characters
Right.
and so much going on that like they can't just make a decent film very often anymore, which is kind of
Right.
sad. And so it makes me like not really excited, but like sad that I'm not excited for
Yeah.
these movies because like these are characters that I like I said, have wanted to see in a film done really well.
Right.
And it's sad that like the state of movie making, especially in DC at this point, is just so
Yeah.
sporadic and uncohesive that it makes me not feel confident in what I'm going in
Right.
to see.
And I mean, it's not even DC who, I mean, in just this aspect of um getting too many characters, like Marvel has done it tons of times
Oh yeah.
after Endgame and Infinity War. Like, look at Spider-Man No Way Home. You have a lot of throwback characters and a million different villains, including Doctor Strange. And
Yeah.
then if you look at
I think Doctor Strange is probably the worst culprit of that. Like bringing in people just for clout
yeah,
and then
literally.
like not actually doing any justice to any of those characters.
Yeah. You obviously have the Flash with
Sure.
every Michael Keaton's Batman, Ben Affleck, Wonder Woman. Yeah, you have a ton of characters in there,
Right.
and then, I guess some side news.
Yeah.
The new Captain America movie is one done. They've said,
Mm.
and two have said that there are the most characters in this movie since Endgame and Infinity War. So
That seems strange.
yeah, they're bringing in a lot of the Hulks. I don't know if you've heard that,
Mm.
but like
I haven't heard that, but that
it's
is
rumored.
interesting.
I don't know if it's rumored anymore at this point, but the leader is supposed to be the main villain. And if you get the leader, you got to get Hulk. And if you get Hulk, well, now we have a She-Hulk. Well, we've also seen Abomination. Why not throw him in there?
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have, Captain America and Bucky. So, and that's only like 6 characters. So if it's more, or if it's just under Infinity War and Endgame, that doesn't get me excited. I don't know why they think
Yeah.
it's getting us excited. It's lame. In
Yeah.
my opinion.
I'm starting to get on the train of like they really do just need to take a step back with the quantity of what they're doing
Yeah.
and really just like stick with what's working. Cause like really the only thing that's working in DC at this point is like there's a couple kind of like shows and little obscure characters in films that are working. But really it's like Robert Pattinson's Batman is
Yeah.
like and this Joaquin Phoenix Joker
Right.
have been like the most successful things they've done.
Right.
And for Marvel, like the most successful things they've done are centered around well-known heroes like Tom Holland's Spider-Man is still
Right.
really well liked. The Spider-Verse franchise, I know they're not like directly connected
Right.
studio-wise, but like films like that are doing really well. Like a lot of fans want to see the Netflix series rebooted and redone really well, like the Daredevil
Oh,
series, and you have
yeah.
Charlie Cox now. Like explore that realm,
Right.
stick with things that like are good recipes to do really well. And I think we'll get more into like the poor quality of Marvel when we
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah.
Secret Invasion here in a minute. But yeah, I don't know. They're gonna have to rebuild my faith
Yeah.
in their studios right
Yeah.
now.
I'm just glad that you've opened my realm of movie watching to where it's not just superheroes.
Oh,
So
it's you definitely need that right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
literally right now, or else I'd just be depressed all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's too sad.
Yeah.
It's too
I
sad.
just finished Lord of the Rings, all of them.
You liked it.
It was great. The extended versions too, so it's very, very long. But man, it was.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. I got some beef with Frodo, but that's for another time.
We'll just explore that later,
Yes.
perhaps. But yeah, I mean, other movie news I think is kind of summed up by actor and writer strikes,
Yep.
and really just
Everyone is mad.
yeah, everyone's mad, and I'll be honest, I'm not gonna like say anything about it because like I really don't know exactly what all the
Yeah.
ins and outs of it are for everybody. I will just say it's kind of sad for films that are coming out that like they can't be promoted properly.
Right.
You can't have the stars out there doing interviews about it and
Right.
doing promo for it. The writers obviously are, not able to keep working and furthering shows and things like that and
Yeah.
films.
I
So it's
know
just it's kind of a sad state for when it felt like such a great summer for blockbuster movies
right.
with, Mission Impossible, Indiana Jones, Blue Beetle, Oppenheimer, like all these great films that are coming out that everyone's so excited for. And we've had a pretty decent run up to this far in the year. But it's just kind of sad that like we won't continue to see that going forward is really
Right.
how I feel.
So obviously it's like almost everyone that's like a part of this at this point. But I did write down a couple like big notable ones that
Yeah.
were in my opinion. So like the first two that really shocked me were Family Guy and American Dad, just because of how long they've been running for. Like it
Yeah.
said that Family Guy just finished their 21st season and then American Dad with their 20th. And then you have the new Blade movie that had already been pushed back because the whole script sucked, but now it's probably going to be pushed back more.
Right.
Cobra Kai was a great hit when it first came out. I know a lot of people still enjoy that show. Saturday Night Live was a crazy one to me. Like they just
that is
shut
wild.
down to like support and whatever. Stranger Things, any Star Wars. So Mandalorian 4, I heard, or the season 4 is being pushed back. All the because I guess they have like a new deal where there's 3 more Avatar movies, all pushed back,
Yeah.
and then a good majority of like the Marvel films. But
yeah, and hopefully like everybody involved will get things sorted out and
right.
and what needs to be done for everybody. But it is just kind of a bummer as consumers that like these films that probably deserve these great rollouts won't be getting them for a bit, and so that is kind of a bummer. But
yeah,
aside from that, I think that pretty much wraps up what we know or what we're excited for or what we're talking about for movies.
Yeah.
Music news: Travis Scott posted on Instagram a like album rollout release party live stream thing on the 28th. So I don't know that it was clear that he confirmed the album for that day, but this is just when the event's going down. So a lot of people assumed that would be when it's coming out.
Right.
From the Fetchin' Pyramids of Giza. Like I read that and I was like, oh, cool. Like the pyramid, he's going to like a cool launch party in Vegas. That'll be sick at the pyramid, thinking like, obviously it's going to be something moderately normal. No. He's going Moon Knight on us just from the pyramids. I'm at a loss for words. That's such a bonkers rollout.
That sounds like a Kanye move. That sounds like something only Kanye would do.
Dude, Kanye couldn't even pull that off. He did like Mercedes-Benz Stadium in America. But it does sound like something he would do, but it's wild like how big it feels like Travis is making this.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I now have more respect for the man just because how outlandish that is.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
For sure.
I screenshotted our first conversation, so it's going to be boom right there because I thought that was hilarious.
I was mind blown. I was just like, it literally took me like 2 times reading it, and then I was like, wait, no, this isn't like the Pyramid Hotel in Las Vegas. No, this is just the pyramids.
Oh my gosh. One
Crazy.
of the 7 wonders of the world.
Yeah, that's
Go Travis.
good
I'm
for you,
rooting for him
Trav.
now.
But if it does
That's
come out on
hilarious.
the 28th, that'll be cool. I know we're both looking forward to hearing what Post Malone's cooked up
Yeah.
with the record Austin that's dropping that day. So that'll be awesome to get 2 good records that day,
Yeah,
or at
absolutely.
least right around the same time together. I am worried that being a protege of Kanye West, that Travis is going to pull one of these, not release it when people
Yeah.
think you're going to release it, and it's going to come out in like October because he's just going to do a whole bunch of rollout.
A bunch of like promotion for it.
Yeah, just stuff like that. So
I hope not.
yeah, just because I am a fan of good rollout, but when it feels like it's rollout for the sake of rollout, and because I don't know, you want to keep working on the
Right.
album, like that kind of bugs me a little bit.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's coming sooner than later.
Right. I just hope that I don't care how, I honestly, truthfully do not care how long it takes him. But if it's not good, that's when I'll start being upset. Because it's like, you had a lot of time and you've been teasing it for this amount of time.
Right.
Why isn't it good?
I mean, it's been like really Astroworld last solo project,
Wasn't it like 5 years ago?
2018. Yeah,
So 5 years ago.
5+ years. So it's been a while for him.
Yeah, it has been. But I mean, we've heard him on a couple features from different artists, and
he's been around the music
yeah,
world.
and
Not
honestly, I've
going far, so.
enjoyed more often than not what he's been on and collaborating with. So
yeah, so hopefully something that we'll enjoy.
Yeah.
Give us some good new music.
Yeah.
Speaking of new music, I think that's all the news we have to talk
Yeah,
about.
I don't know
There's not a
anything
whole lot other than that.
No.
Speaking of new music, though, a lot of singles came out this week. Not a whole lot of big albums. There was the Dave East project. I listened to some of that.
The what?
Is artist named Dave East.
I don't know.
Rap artist. Anyways, that was like the only big name that I recognized or that I really cared to listen to.
Right.
Album wise, and it was decent. It was okay. Nothing that really stood out to me that like would keep me coming back to it.
Right.
But it had its moments that I was like, oh, it's not half bad.
Yeah. They're not like from this week, but we were super slow at work the other day. So I was like, you know what? Let me just catch up on a lot of albums or projects that have come out. So I did finish like Tusi's album, IDK's album. I don't know when these ones were released. But I listened to the Moneybag Yo album, which I thought was decent. Like, it wasn't bad. I didn't find any notable tracks where I was like, "Oh, this is
the one."
This is a hit." Yeah,
yeah.
No, but overall, like, I'm pretty sure I enjoyed it more than I did Gunna's and Young Thug's. Just as an overall project,
Sure.
Still not talking about like the feature songs or anything like that, but as just a solo artist and their album, I enjoyed it. Like, I'd throw that on in the background. It wasn't
Cool.
It wasn't terrible.
Nice. A song that when I was listening to it, I thought, like, about halfway through the song, I thought I was gonna just want to get on here and absolutely flame it.
Yeah.
Was Billie Eilish's "What Was I Made For" from the Barbie soundtrack. And honestly, like, I will say it's not really like my cup of tea. It's not really a song that I enjoy, that I feel like I'll ever come back to again, that I really don't have any desire to. But just listening to her as an artist, I think what it really comes down to is just that it's not my kind of music. Like, I recognize the appeal for maybe a fan of hers or someone who does that, like that sound. It just wasn't for me. It felt like it's really slow and it's really vocal, very airy, which is fine. Like, if that's, what you listen to, it's just not really my sound, I think, is what I ultimately came to. So I don't feel like that I can justly get on here and flame it. It's like, I do recognize the appeal and the talent, but I definitely don't like it as much as I've liked some of her other stuff, some of her
Right.
earlier stuff, but
So there were 3 songs that I re-listened. Like I heard it a couple days ago, and then I listened to these 3 songs on the way up here before we recorded. One of them being Billie Eilish's song because I didn't know how I felt the first time around.
Mm.
And so with the second time, I do have respect for Billie. Like I have a respect for almost every artist
Sure.
just because it's not an easy thing to do, especially at her age. She's still super young. Um, I agree with you. It's not my kind of music
Yeah.
at all. I didn't know it was from the Barbie soundtrack. That makes a lot more sense. I thought she was just super, super down right now, and I was like,
Yeah.
"This is sad." Um, but I mean, even song wise, before knowing that, like, cool little message, like
Sure.
sad, but it's a good concept. It is super airy, and that's where I don't enjoy it, just because
Yeah.
that's not for me. I don't like airy, not very instrumental songs. It's
Yeah.
very reliant on her vocals and her harmonies alongside,
Sure.
which is fine.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, like if that's what you enjoy listening to, cool, nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. It is very impressive that she's able to achieve that, and like I think it kind of resembles what she did a lot on her last album.
Mhm.
Um I like you, I think it doesn't for me amount to like a very enjoyable song for myself, just
Right.
because there's not a whole lot going on other than that airy high
Yeah.
sound. And she kind of more or less stays there the whole time, and I
Yeah.
don't need like my instrumentals to be heavy or like
Right.
fast or things like that. It's very confined to that range,
Yeah.
and it doesn't really explore a whole lot more, which just doesn't make it like a song that I think I'd come back to a whole lot.
Right. So for me, like I'm not huge on Billie, like never really have been. I really love her vocals. I think she's a very good singer. Um, but a lot of her music gives me the
The
willies. Yeah,
heebie-jeebies.
dude, I think she's scary, but that's just me. Like that one song where it's like, "So you're a tough guy." That song scares me. A lot of
Dude,
that
have you seen the
album
Simpsons
scares
meme
me.
of that?
No.
Oh, we'll have to see if we can repost that
Okay.
on our story or something, because I love that meme.
Yeah.
It really
Um,
it's the only way I tolerate that song, because it does give me the heebie-jeebies too.
yeah. Plus, like that album covers.
It's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Gives you the willies too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not huge on Billie just because I feel uncomfortable listening to her music. But then she'll put out songs like this or like the collab song Lovely with Khalid.
Yeah,
Beautiful song. So like she's hit or miss for me,
sure.
but I did enjoy this song for the fact that it didn't scare me. Um and yeah, it was a decent song. Like it was a good song, not one I'd come back to, but I recognize it as a good song. Super talented, and that's all I really have to say about the song. So
Yeah, for sure. Another one that we've chatted a little bit about already.
oh yeah.
If bipolar was a song, I think it would be Child of God by Blast and Remble. It's like the first half of it, I was like, dude, I might be getting one of the best songs I've heard all year.
No,
Right here. Like
literally.
this is
I got
so good.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Like the vocals are incredible.
Yeah.
The instrumental matches it. The lyrics are great. And then Remble,
Who are you?
I've never listened to Remble. And I will say again, like if this is what you like if you just like, if you're really just listening to it for not the sound, for not the rhythm, for anything other than like some good cheesy one-liners here and
Yeah.
there, like if that's all you're looking for, then you might enjoy it. You might.
Other than that, I don't know what that dude's name is, but who? That's that's immediately what I thought when he came up. Because okay, when I listened to that song, at first I thought it was gonna be super cheesy all the way around.
Sure.
Like, because I know Blast a little bit now, and so Child of God like sounds like it's gonna be a Christian rap song, which I'm not opposed to, but a lot of them are really corny and
Yeah.
cheesy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But then he was like actually going off.
Yeah.
And I was reading the lyrics along. I was like, this is crazy. And so I had already pushed Cher song and I was ready to send it. And then Rumble came on. I was like, what am I listening to?
I didn't even think it was the same song, to be honest with you. Like, if it wasn't for the beat being pretty much the same, I would have thought that my phone like skipped to a new song because it does not match or fit or mesh well together at all.
I was shocked. I was
Yeah.
not expecting that. It was trash. So first half, Blast, you did great. Second half, Rumble.
Not the move.
Anyways.
Dude, watch Remble fans just be like the most hardcore on the internet for no reason.
We'll get like at least 15 comments on each social.
Dude, people are just gonna flame us for disliking Remble. Oh my goodness.
I've even heard of this person.
I will say there's a ton that I listened to this week that
Yeah.
I like. There's a lot of new music and artists that I feel like I enjoy that I listen to, and I feel like I just didn't have anything to say about.
Yeah.
So I'm just not going to talk about those songs because like it doesn't really do me any good to.
Yeah.
But I will jump in on the new Post Malone track Overdrive. And say that I really enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I know Chemical wasn't super well received by a lot of the public. And I know that Morning was people liked it a little bit more, but still like haven't enjoyed it as much. I liked both of those songs a lot, just personally. And this was another one that I thought I thoroughly enjoyed. I still do hear a lot of like that synthetic, refined auto-tune echoing of the vocals, which is a little disappointing because I really don't think he needs it, especially on an album and especially on a song like this.
Yeah,
I really don't think it's necessary for him. I think his vocal tone matches it just fine, and I think the performance that he'd be able to do with it would be really good.
Yeah.
But all in all, I thought it was enjoyable. It was really catchy. The instrumental was you know, cool. It wasn't like outrageously special, but I thought it matched really well. The one thing I will say is it felt very condensed. I thought he could have done another 45 seconds to another minute, maybe add a verse or something to that, just to kind of extend the play of it, because it felt like it began and ended so quickly and that it hadn't really made a whole lot of progress or direction with the song.
Yeah.
But all in all, I thought it was pretty solid.
Yeah, that's now the second song that I listened to twice, because kind of like what you were saying about Chemical and about Morning, I enjoyed them, but I've heard that from Post and I've heard it a lot better, to where I was like, I don't want to download these songs because I have better songs of this.
Yeah.
So, but like, that's not me saying it was trash or anything like that. Like, I enjoyed each of those songs. They were very well done, but I've heard a lot better from Post, from a lot other, like, frequently too. Like, but with this song, I still didn't download it, but it was way better than the other two in my opinion.
Interesting.
Like, I don't know, the whole vibe, the feeling it gives, it felt very summery, but like a very mellow kind of summery. Like, you're on the front porch, kind of just having a drink and just like hanging out in the front yard.
Yeah.
On a summer afternoon. Like, that's the kind of vibe I got. And it was super nice. Like, I love a good mellow song every once in a while. The lyrics themselves weren't bad at all. And that song actually got me more excited for the album overall.
Yeah.
Which I didn't expect that, because I've already been hesitant from the last two songs. Not that I think it'll be bad, but I feel like it's going to be something that I've already heard and I'm not going to enjoy as much.
Sure.
Which I never want that from an artist, like, especially Post, because he's one of my favorite artists from today's music. So I don't want to see Post on a downfall, quote unquote. Like,
or at least just like taking a big step back.
Right. Yeah. Like, I think he's great enough to continue different avenues with his music, because I think he has that talent.
Yeah.
But I did really enjoy the song. Just not a song I would come back to, but I did really enjoy the song.
For sure. Yeah, I felt like it was a pretty good entry, but I will agree. I think like the direction of the album, it I am like excited to listen to it and hopeful that he'll do something cool with it. And I like the concept behind doing something very guitar driven and very
Right.
melodic for him. Um, but I will say like it doesn't feel like something that I'm really excited for, like I have been with previous
Right.
albums that he's been promoting or dropping. So, anyways, another one that I listened to was Dark Matter by Masked Wolf of Astronaut in the Ocean fame and AWOL Nation.
Didn't hear it.
The production's very cool. I
Mm.
think AWOL, I'm sure AWOL Nation did it. The production's very cool. The flows from Masked Wolf are pretty good. Like the tempo of it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I just don't think he was the right pick for this particular song vocally.
Okay.
And he is an artist that I feel like has some high spots. Like Astronaut in the Ocean, I think is a fine song.
What's the song called?
It's called Dark Matter.
I'll listen to it.
He has another one called Say So that I found myself enjoying. It's a kind of a summary vibe, but I just don't think he was the right pick for this track vocally. Yeah, that's the one. But anyways, you might enjoy it. The production is pretty solid from AWOL Nation,
Cool.
and I didn't end up downloading it just because of that. But yeah,
cool. I'll kind of talk about that third song I've been
absolutely.
hyping up about. No, I'm just kidding. It was Turn Yo Click Up by Quavo and Future.
Yes.
Because it was another song where I was just like, how do I feel about this song? I don't know. I will say that, and I don't want to say it was because of the death of, was it Takeoff? Or, okay. Yeah. I don't want to say that I've been listening to them more because Takeoff died, because that's a very like common thing when an artist passes, their numbers usually skyrocket because everybody starts to listen to them. I don't want to say that's the reason like I've been enjoying more, but I don't know. And I don't know if I feel bad or not about that. Like, I'm just going to say that's not the case. But they've been putting out quite a bit. Like, I've seen them on features or collabs pretty frequently, going through new music daily every single week.
Yeah.
And I'm liking them more and more. Like, I like what Quavo does, and I like what Offset has been doing too. But then you have Future, and
you didn't like Future on that.
I don't. He wasn't terrible, but it didn't sound like the song for him.
Okay.
It like he just didn't. It didn't sound like a good little mashup with the production and his vocals. But it was a cool song. It was like bouncy, kind of, not, I wouldn't say clubbish, but like I kind of like not bounce my head a little bit, and like, so it was a decent song.
Yeah.
But one, like another one where I just wouldn't come back to it because as a full song, it was okay.
For sure.
It was cool.
Yeah. I think I really only listened through it once, and really the gist that I got out of it was that I didn't think it was bad at all.
Right.
But I do think I've heard Quavo on much better songs.
Yeah.
And I think I've heard Future on much better songs.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that was really just like what kind of turned me off to wanting to listen to it again, or like downloading it at all. I just think I've heard really, really good stuff from both of them. And I was excited to see a song with both of them together, but I just don't think it really amounted to what I had hoped it would, or to either of their best works.
Agreed.
Another one that I'm still kind of up in the air on how I feel about it. I just listened to it like 15 minutes before we started this. Mm-hmm. It's the new single off of the 30 Seconds to Mars album called Get Up Kid.
Yeah.
I didn't really think that I liked it, like listening through the first half, but as the song was getting to the end, I like felt like I looked back and was like, oh, that wasn't that bad. Like it was actually pretty good. Like I think I found myself enjoying that more than I thought I would. So it's going to take some more
listening
attention from me to see if I really do like it.
Yeah.
But I think it was decent.
See, that's crazy, because I've been telling you how much I've been liking what they've been putting out lately.
Yeah.
I didn't like this one.
Interesting.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But
not anywhere near what you did with the first couple.
No.
Yeah, I think it for sure is a lot less I don't know. I guess the word would be like stadium ready. Like it's like the
Yeah.
first ones are very big and very, explosive. Like you would play them at a big concert.
Yeah.
And this one isn't like that at all.
Mm.
It's very different in terms of its sound, but I think I kind of enjoyed that vocal approach from them a little bit better than the
Right.
first two. But like I said, I really haven't made up my mind about it, so I think it's going to take another
Yeah.
listen or two through.
Right. See, that's been an album that I have grown to become excited for.
Sure.
Or not, I wouldn't say excited because it's not like I have it on my calendar or anything, but one that I look forward to listening to the fullness of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For sure. The last one that I had something to say about was the Dan and Shay song "Save Me the Trouble."
Yeah.
I really have tried so hard over the past like 3 years to become a fan of Dan and Shay.
You don't like them?
I don't like them at all.
Wow.
I think they're the most overrated country group I've heard in years. Like, and it's not disrespect. Like, I see the appeal for sure. I just think they're not good enough at pop to be good pop artists, and they're not nearly good enough at country to be good country artists.
Wow.
And they don't really tiptoe that line as well as a lot of other artists that I like. And it's not that their music's bad by any stretch. I don't think it's bad sounding. Like, I would never put them in like my worst songs or worst albums of the year. I just don't think there's anything unique or special about them that stands out that would make me want to come back to it. And that's really just like, this song just really hit that nail again for me and was like, it's really like, they just follow such a recipe and such a formula with everything that they put out. It feels like that I really just don't find myself coming back to it at all.
That's crazy. Yeah. So I like,
and it seems like a group that I should be a fan of. And that's why like I've really tried so hard, like giving them like, just like I listen through something and I'm like, oh, I don't really like that. And I'll be like, no, you know what? I'm going to come back to that and listen to it again.
Right.
And it's just never done it for me.
Man. See, this might be the first time on podcast that we've disagreed heavily, quote unquote.
Interesting.
Because I love them. They're like one of my favorite little duos.
Yeah.
I didn't like this song, which makes me sad because it's not like I've gone through like their albums and everything. Just I've heard a couple songs from them here and there, and I've loved their songs.
Yeah.
Not this one. This one it's a good song, but it was the vocals that got me this time. They didn't sound great on this song. Not saying they were bad vocals or anything, just it didn't feel like a complete song on both sides. But I love them. Like, I listen to them frequently.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I think for the last 2 years, maybe 3 years, they've been in my top 10 artists listened to throughout the year. Every single time.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think it feels like there's nothing really standoutish for me that keeps me coming back to them.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, I for sure see the appeal. I understand like why they're one of the biggest duos. It's just not my style, I guess. I don't know.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
We still love you.
I think that really wraps up what I have things to say about for new music.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a ton more, but
I have 2 more that I guess could be talked about. So one being the 3 tracks little project that the baby put out.
I didn't even see that he put something out.
Yeah, I don't know. And it kind of went back to like, I don't know if this was super recent, but it was on like what I was trying to find. Like, I looked at the whole hip hop part and
interesting. Was it
it's called
Call the Fireman?
Yeah. I don't know when that actually came out.
That's from May. So
okay. Well,
it's a couple months, but
yeah, I don't know where I don't even know what I was on that like
brought it up.
Yeah. But it's trash.
Okay. I think I remember that from when I heard it, but
I get why that's not why he's fallen off. But I get why
you didn't know that it dropped.
Yes. But one that I still don't know if it came out as frequent as I think, or as soon as I think. I don't know the right word. But Armani White's, I don't know what it's called, but he put out like an EP. He got huge off of TikTok with his song Billie Eilish.
So those came out the same day, both in May, actually.
That's so crazy to me.
But I just listened through his project too after you sent me that song.
Yeah, and very enjoyable, I think. I think I only downloaded, but I might go back, but I think I only downloaded Silver Tooth, the one that I did send you.
Yeah.
Because that one gave the same energy as Billie Eilish. And I find Billie Eilish enjoyable just because it's like a goofy song that like that doesn't make sense at all, but it's I'm enjoying it. Yeah. So Silver Tooth was the same vibe I was feeling. And I don't know, like there's not many people who have come up on TikTok or social media to big platforms that I have found made it work. He is now the third artist I believe has done that. Because I think this EP was put together pretty well. It seemed like a just for fun project, like and he's right. Like there's a line in the song saying like, I'm the only one that's like really coming up. No, not all the way, but yes, you are on the
forefront,
right? Like I could see him being bigger, probably not. And if you do, like, I don't know, you could tell me I'm wrong. Yeah. But I don't see him getting to the level of like these top mainstream artists.
Sure.
But still somebody very well known and makes very good music. So I did really enjoy this EP.
Yeah, I would say my favorite song, because I listened through it as well. I wasn't the biggest fan of Billie Eilish just because I don't think it's a very, I don't want to say like complex, because you don't really need a song to be complex to get it to be good. It feels like it very much follows the recipe of what makes a good TikTok song.
Right.
And I just like, I don't really come back to that a whole lot. Like it's cool when I hear it, but so I was curious to hear what he would come up with. And I found myself liking the Denzel Curry song Goated the most on that album. I thought that was a really good performance for both of them.
Right.
And it definitely strayed from that kind of recipe feel of what I feel like a lot of TikTok hip hop artists put out. So I like that one a lot.
He surprisingly had a lot of very known artists on this EP. Like the other one that blew me away that he just got on it. Oh crap, who was it? It was on this Billie Eilish remix.
He had like Ludacris and a couple guys on there.
Oh, who's the other dude? He's huge. Busta Rhymes. Oh, there we go. There he is. But yeah, that one blew me away because he has such a very, very known voice, and I didn't see it like featuring or whatever.
Right.
So I just heard Busta like spitting, and I was like, what is going on? So yeah, that's all I guess those last two weren't new music, but
music you've been listening to that you found new.
Didn't know released.
Yeah, I'll shout out a couple songs that I've been coming back to. I really have been just lamenting the good era of The Weeknd's music.
That one dude got you.
Yeah, he really got to me because he was like, The Weeknd's so good. And I was like, well, yeah, The Weeknd's good. Why all these singles from this show not really been that good? So I just decided to really just go back to the basics and I started listening through his discography again.
Yeah.
So I made it through House of Balloons this week, and I just love the songs Wicked Games and 28 from that album.
I don't think I've ever heard that album.
They're so good. You may have heard it from it's a trilogy, the album trilogy. I don't know if you listened to it at all. Anyways, 3 projects that he released as a whole trilogy after they all came out. But yeah, those 2 songs really stood out to me this week. Songs that I've been listening to a lot. I also saw Kehlani perform live last night.
That's cool. What the heck?
Yeah. So after her concert, I love a lot of her stuff, but I really only know her from like the mainstream stuff that she's put out from movie soundtracks or like Playing With Me that she did with Kyle back in the day.
Right.
But she did mostly her own stuff, and I really enjoyed, I think it's her most popular song, but I really enjoyed Nights Like This with Ty Dolla.
Yeah.
Super cool song. Beautiful vocals, just a great R&B soulful cut. I think Ty has a good feature on it. So that's the next one. I also went back to the Katramine EP that came out a few months ago with Amine and Katranada. I guess I don't know. I'm not familiar with him. I know Amine, but anyways, they put out a little EP together, and the song "Rebuke" is super cool. It was I think it was the single from the album. Super cool, super fun, kind of summer vibe,
Right.
but not like super bubbly.
Yeah.
Just kind of a mellow, fun summer vibe.
Cool.
So I really like that one as well. And the last song I wanted to shout out, because I didn't know how I felt about it last week, but I saw the movie this week, Insidious 5. Ghosts song "Stay" featuring Patrick Wilson was the post-credit song. And after hearing it in the context of the movie, again, like I will say, I don't think it's the best rock song, the best soulful metal song, or like anything like that. But just in the context of the film, it's so beautifully put together. I really like it. And so just because of that, I've been coming back to it really frequently this week. Yeah.
Cool. The 3 that I've been listening to, number 1 being Violet by Connor Price and Killa. I think both of their verses are super cool, super fun. The instrumental is really, really good. And the reason why I love this song so much, and there's a couple, he made like this EP kind of deal off of this idea. On TikTok, he started this thing called Around the Globe. He would spin a globe, and wherever his finger landed, he would go find an artist from that country and make a song with them. So Killa is from Zambia and killed it. And so he did that with a couple other artists and made an EP. But dude, I understand why he's called Killa. He killed it. Like it was a really, really good verse.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of my favorite songs from even Connor Price. So
nice.
There's that. The second one is I need to know who this is by, because I have no idea who it's actually by. But it is Long Live the Chief by Jadena.
I'm unfamiliar with
never heard
the
that song.
Really? Or the person.
Here, I'm gonna
maybe
send
I've
it to you.
Send it to me. Maybe I have heard it. I don't know.
Long Live the Chief. Yeah, it's a good one. Some of there are one-liners in there that just I'm like that's crazy. Yeah.
Nice. We'll have to check it out.
There's a line he goes, "Then I go and hide in plain sight like a lobby boy." And I'm like, whoa. Genius.
Oh my gosh. Nice. A+.
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember what the third song I listened to. I need to start writing these down. Oh, it was just Silvertooth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, we already shouted that one out.
Yeah. So those are my 3.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, as usual, we'll link some of those songs that we've enjoyed into the description for this. But let's jump into this Secret Invasion episode 4. Episode 4. Ooh. Yeah, it was bad.
I'm over this show.
Yeah, I really am too. It obviously, like, I don't really know that there's a need to have any spoilers in it because nothing happened. There's no need to have a spoiler warning because nothing happened.
No, the only thing that we do know is that Rhodey is a Skrull. Okay, we don't know where Rhodey is.
Spoilers, but yeah, it felt like, and I mean, they've kind of hinted at that throughout episodes.
Yeah.
But like realistically, I was thinking about it after I watched the episode today, and it seems like they could have fit these first 4 episodes realistically, like plot development wise, where we have started and where we've gone. Mm-hmm. It feels like they could have fit it in like one solid 1 hour episode.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why it took you 4 45-minute episodes to get through this to like a point where it still feels like it needs to develop into something interesting, which I'm hopeful that it will for the last 2 episodes. And I told them last podcast episode, like, if the last 2 episodes are fire, then I'll be okay with 4 episodes.
Yeah.
But I do still stand by, like, I don't get why it takes you 4 episodes to make this plot progress. Yeah. And like, there have been some plot twists, like Rhodey and his wife and Maria Hill dying.
Right.
but like those things feel like they should have happened in one episode. Like that should be one decent episode.
That's what I'm saying. Like this show should have been a movie because you get all of that what we have seen in 4 episodes in the first hour of a normal movie.
Yeah.
So it's like ridiculous because yeah, like Maria Hill died in episode 1. Yeah, you could have very well showed that in like the first 10, 15 minutes of a movie.
Yeah.
Like all of these little plot twists, yes, they all could have, I agree, could have been 1 hour.
Yeah.
It's very upsetting. It's been irking my soul.
Yeah, I mean, if we weren't gonna like be talking about it every week, I'd probably be done by now.
Yeah.
But because we are talking about it, like I am hopeful that these last 2 episodes will be fire because they haven't really, with how little they've done, they're gonna have to pack something incredible into these last 2 episodes to make it a worthwhile watch.
Yeah.
And so I'm really concerned that they just are gonna make a trash show and that it's not gonna go anywhere.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it'll be decent, but I'm going to be left wondering why it took you 4 episodes to get there.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I feel like it also just keeps getting cheesier and cheesier.
Yeah, I will say even more so than the last couple episodes. In this one, I noticed that it feels like the things that you're watching and the conversations you're hearing are a good movie writes things, or a good movie or a good show has things written in a way that it doesn't feel like you as the audience are being talked to, but that you're observing like a story being told.
Yeah.
And so like the conversations that you hear in this show, it feels like they don't really fit in the context of the story, or like they feel weirdly placed.
Yeah.
And like just an example off the top of my head is when they're planning this attack on the president, the Skrulls are, and they say, he's like, right as they're about to leave, they're like, oh, remember, we're supposed to be the Russians. Like, you know, act Russian when you attack them.
Right.
I was like, if you're planning to attack the president of the United States, this conversation is not going to be had 30 seconds before you do it. This is like your big grand plan. You're not going to have that conversation 30 seconds before
Everybody knows what you have to do.
Well, and if it is like last minute adjustments, it's not something as obvious as like, hey, act Russian.
No,
like you're going to know that beforehand. And so it feels like so much of the show is just written so that you and the audience feel in the know. And I'm fine with the audience being in the know, but it needs to be written in a way that doesn't feel like that's what's happening, but that like it makes sense in the context of the story.
Yeah. I've also found that I hate every single interaction where it's Nick Fury and Rhodey, or it's Nick Fury and his wife. Every conversation is super dumb.
Yeah.
Every single one.
They're pretty cheesily written. I will say that. That's for sure.
I mean, I was a little shocked when they both shot.
Yeah.
Like I didn't actually expect that to happen.
Yeah.
But then I'm like,
that was a pretty good one-liner though, when he was like, I don't know if this means we should get divorced or if we should renew our vows.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I was like, okay. Slight redemption. You only
Yeah, and then the Russian line was after that, so then it ruined it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. And then Talos is dead.
Yeah. But again, like I feel like all this, like even if this was your movie, like you're gonna make a 2.5-hour movie, this should be the first hour and a half of the movie. It doesn't. Why does it take you 4 hours to get here in TV episodes?
This one was also like the shortest one out of all of them.
Yeah, it was pretty short.
It was only 30 minutes long.
And I will say I enjoyed that there was like, at least there was like more action in this episode packed into it and more that happened in it because it was a shorter episode.
Yeah.
But like still, it feels like I don't know.
I feel like it had the exact same amount of action as the first episode did.
Right. No, it did for sure. But like being as that it was a shorter time, there was more happening in the time frame that I was watching.
Yeah. I'm just over it.
Yeah.
I now sigh when I have to, like when I know I have to watch the episode. I do
yeah.
Time to watch it.
It's a grind for sure. Yeah. We'll see how these last 2 episodes go, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah.
I can't wait till it's over.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I'm kind of sad because I was really hopeful that it'd be good.
Me too.
But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's our last little bit here.
Yeah.
Insidious, The Red Door, Chapter 5. It's really Chapter 3.
Yeah.
It's really Chapter 3. Yes, if you haven't seen the movie, and you're just watching this, just before we get into any spoilers, if you are going to watch it, if you're interested in it, you should watch the first 2.
Yes, 1 and 2.
1 and 2. 3 and 4 are completely unnecessary to watch.
If you want to, cool.
Yeah, just
but
if you want to get the feel for
they don't pertain
yeah.
to the story whatsoever.
Yeah, you're not going to be confused if you walk in without seeing 3 and 4. It's really the third part of the first 2 movies.
Yeah.
And that's probably why there's like no Insidious 5 in it. Like it's just called the Insidious the Red Door.
Yeah.
It's Patrick Wilson's directorial debut, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it was, for a scary movie, it was pretty solid, I thought.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think I've talked before about Insidious, and it's one of my favorite horror film franchises because I think it's one of the few that really makes you invested, not just in like the action or instances of the film, but it makes you invested in the storyline,
right?
And it makes you invested in the characters in the film, whereas a lot of other movies, I don't know, they kind of portray the characters as idiots, or like,
right,
you know, maybe they make you care about the bad guy, like the, you know, whoever the villain slasher is, or they, like in the case of the Conjuring movies, the families and the people who are victims aren't really like even the focus of the film. It's like the people who are helping them out. So I will say I have really enjoyed the Insidious franchise, and because of that, I think I enjoyed this film a lot more than what it seems like.
Right.
The critics or the fan consensus of it is.
Right.
But all in all, like, just to give it a rating, I would say, like, if I'm being objective and film wise, like comparing it to other movies, I would say like a 6.5 out of 10.
Valid. I'd probably put it somewhere at a 7.
Okay.
I feel like Jonah has put a good little review list together.
Sure.
So I might go back and like actually fill that out from now on just to see what I actually would give it.
Yeah.
But put it probably somewhere around like a 7. And I do agree, like, this has become one of my favorite horror franchises. Just because basically everything that you've said, like, they really do care about the characters and the plot and the story development, where it really brings the audience in, at least me, like that's how I felt. And before this one, I had only seen the first one, and I saw the first one when I was like 13. So like,
right.
Other than that, I've seen like the fourth one, but like we said, it doesn't pertain.
Yeah.
So I went back and I watched both the first and the second one, and both of them, like, they're all really, really good, minus some of the CGI.
Sure.
But I don't even really care about that because of how good the entirety of the story was. Like,
yeah,
the first one, I think it might be my favorite one. It might be my set. I don't know. I really like this new one.
Yeah.
The second one was cool. He has your baby. He has your baby.
That's like the most obscure one-liner if you haven't seen the film. And I don't think you had seen the film when I like quoted that part of the movie.
I did it. And so when I saw it, I started cracking up because just your voice came into my mind.
Oh yeah, that's
hilarious. The second one was good.
It's kind of creepy though if you don't know that's coming in that movie.
If you had never said that to me, it would have been a lot creepier, because
it's like the scariest part of the movie if you haven't seen, if you don't know it's coming.
I just started dying of laughter because this memory unlocked of you saying it. I have no idea when or where or why.
Oh man.
But yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. The second one was really good. Like with the big plot twist of I don't remember his name, but the dude being the killer and dresses up like the woman in black.
Yeah.
And that's like the person haunting Josh.
Yeah.
Super cool plot twist. I liked the implication of Craig's character. I thought Craig, is that his name?
I think so.
The old dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. Which is crazy because when I was watching this, he looks a lot like my ex-grandpa. And I'm pretty sure my ex-grandpa's name is Craig, so it was pretty crazy. Anyways, yeah, I liked his character a lot. So seeing the first two really helped my enjoyment of the third one, just because I now had a love for all of the characters, and I was super intrigued with how the story was going. So with the third one, seeing Dalton grow up and he's like going to college, and
His name's Carl, not Craig.
dang it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You associated him with your grandpa, though.
I
probably.
still don't know if my grandpa's name is Craig, though.
That's how you know him, though, in your head, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, back to what you're saying.
They're the same person,
Okay.
only different because he doesn't go and talk to ghosts.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's super cool to see like Dalton all grown up and going to college. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the same kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't recast.
Ty Simpkins.
Yeah. So that's super cool. And just to kind of see the two sides of what happened after they were made to forget those events was super cool, because Josh, because like I don't remember what the wife's name is, but Renee, like what she was kind of saying, how he's gotten slower and like foggier, and like you can see it's physically affecting him. Like he wants to know what the heck is going on, but he has no idea where to even start looking. And so like the distraught on his face and the confusion that you just see constantly from him is crazy, and like he does a great job portraying that kind of feeling. But then you look at Dalton, and he's become this like moody young adult, like about to go into college, like kind of stuck into his own world where like, I'm just gonna do this, like doesn't want anything to do with his dad, not because it's because of things that they don't even remember, like that's the whole cause of it. And so like their relationship went from being amazing to like this beautiful father and son relationship to gone. It does not exist. Like they don't care for each other, really. They're not on the same level.
Right.
And so to see their growth within just this movie, coming back together and regaining that relationship, super cool to see. Even like Josh and the entirety of the family, like it's kind of been mended. It's going to be okay. So I thoroughly enjoyed this movie.
Right. And I don't think you really hit any too big of spoilers, but we'll probably talk spoilers the rest of the film. I think all of that's pretty standard, even walking into the movie. You get the gist of that.
Right.
But anyways, I thought the film was pretty well executed story-wise. I know a lot of people that, like a lot of critics that I've been reading and listening to, their holdback with it is that they spend too much time in the film on where the family was, as opposed to like building a new story. And I do get that, but I think for me, what the value in this film is breaking down and understanding trauma and understanding how to get through it. Because even just listening to Patrick Wilson's interviews about it, I think the whole point of it was that at the end, even at them as a cast getting through this second film, realizing that you don't overcome trauma or whatever by forgetting about it, but you get through it by working through it. And I think something that's beautifully executed in this movie is the fact that it's done together. Right. And if you can do that, with whomever you're going through something with, I think that makes the situation all the better to work through that together, as opposed to like doing it separately, which is kind of where they start out in this film, is trying to do things on their own. But realizing that, you have to go through it together and get through it together to really overcome something and come out on the other side. And so I think as a plot development, I personally enjoyed that a lot. One thing that's kind of interesting about these films, and that I really, really recognized after this fifth one, is for the most part, for a movie franchise built around ghosts and possession and like kind of evil figures, evil spirits, it's not a very demonic or satanic film franchise, which is very interesting for a movie franchise built kind of on the idea of being possessed. And so what I don't know, and I could be like just tripping here, and this just could just be my projection of whatever I'm thinking. But I do think that I don't think Insidious gets the credit for the kind of subliminal messaging that they're doing for what these things are. And I think it's a little bit clearer in this. Obviously, the whole story is built around overcoming trauma and those kinds of things. But I don't think that the like representation gets enough credit for being what it is, which, or at least what I think it is, of these kind of demons and spirits that haunt them could represent any number of things for any number of individual people, right? I think it could be like, if it's substance abuse or childhood trauma or whatever it is, all of these people, all of us as people have whatever our own quote unquote demons are that kind of may haunt us. And if you just try to forget about them, you don't really ever get through something. And if you kind of just succumb and give up, then those things can overtake you. And that can look like any, variety of outcome. But I think the point of the film is pretty beautifully illustrated, that in order to really get through something, you have to work through it and find a way to get through that with, whoever is around you. And so I really liked that in the film, and that kind of led into somewhat of my first critique about the film, but something that I guess I kind of also was maybe a little conflicted on, was that I wish the film was longer. It was only an hour and 45 minutes. And it did feel a little bit rushed. And the part that I was most disappointed in that was rushed was the red-faced demon guy. Because in the second film, we really get to know the figure that's haunting Josh.
Right.
The bride in black and Patrick Crane, and his whole childhood experience that made him a killer, and why he's haunting Josh. You really get to know all of that in the second film. We really don't know anything about this red-faced guy that's haunting Dalton.
Yeah.
And I was kind of disappointed that we didn't get to know him better, especially when there was so much more room in the film to expand that.
That's valid.
Like, it was only just about an hour and a half. In most films, even if you were to put another half hour into it, I feel like you could have built a pretty, interesting storyline on that guy. Or, if you had 2.5 hours, you can even expand that out and then expand this story to lengthen it to, really make some progress towards the end. But then in my mind, I kept coming back to like, well, I think the artistic vision may be that can be any quote unquote demon, that can be anything that it is to any individual person. And we may not know why those things haunt us as people, but it just is what it is. But I still think you could get that message across while still giving a little bit of story to to that character. But anyways, that was my first critique, and just kind of my general thoughts on the plot.
I liked that they did bring him back, the red-faced demon.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad that that was still the one that was after Dalton, after however long it was, like 15 years or so, something like that. Like, I'm glad that it wasn't this brand new demon and like, oh, now we have to stop this one kind of like storyline. I am glad that they brought him back.
Right.
And basically just going off of everything that you've said, like, you can't really just push it down, like anything really, like it always comes back to bite you in the butt, no matter what it is. So to kind of see them go through it together, and it really focus on just Josh. Okay, the first and this one, that's really who it focuses on. I feel like the second one focuses on a lot of different characters, but in both the first and this one, it really does put a lot of focus on Josh and Dalton. More so this one, which is cool because they're the ones who forgot. They're the ones who are trying to figure out what's going on, because now their lives are going crazy. When I saw the movie, someone had brought up the fact that they didn't like the route that they took with Josh's father. I thought it was super cool. I thought it was a good starting point on what could be happening to Josh, like in real life. Like, obviously the first thing you're not going to first think about, oh, it's probably demons, that's probably why I've been foggy lately. No, that's probably not what anybody's thinking. They're gonna try to figure out a real life situation. And so to go like he gets divorced and everything, and that's the idea he has of his father. Like,
right.
he just abandoned his family and like this and that, whatever about him. And so his dad coming into play, trying to help him and give him clues, I think was cool, because it's like, no, that's not what it is. Let me try to help you, but here I am on the other side.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really cool way to implement his father and still bring in another new aspect to the movie to kind of help grow everything.
Right.
Um
I think
but
even on the subject of symbolism still, I think if you're looking at a deeper meaning for that, that still may be true for Josh's character, that he had to go through that because his dad left or whatever.
Mhm.
But I think the ultimate message that he's getting across is that these quote unquote, like people talk about generational traumas all the time,
Right.
and being the person that breaks that generational curse, like that's a huge thing that people talk about all
Yeah.
the time today. I think that's more of the point of why his father's brought into it. Yes, his father did, leave him. That's just the reality, the fact of it.
Right.
And that did affect Josh negatively. But I think Josh seeing why and understanding, hey, there's bigger things at play here.
Mhm.
There's a bigger picture that is the reason my father was like that, and I
Right.
can be the one to not pass that on to my family.
Right.
And I'm fighting with that right now or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think I do agree. I think that was a cool way to incorporate that aspect of the film.
Right.
And obviously, like with me rating it a 6.5, I do have my critiques film wise of the movie, but I do have a lot of praise that I want to give it first. And I think the first thing that I wanted to highlight was the dialogue between characters.
Mhm.
And it's just not the quality of dialogue you get in scary movies very often.
Right.
Like the exchange between Josh and Dalton when he's dropping him off at college is like, the tension is palpable. Like you can feel it in the
Yeah.
movie theater, like how tense the situation is.
Yeah.
It was very well done. Even his conversation that he has with his wife, Renee,
Mhm.
later in the film, equally like tense and palpable and
Yeah.
very real and
Yeah.
very realistic feeling. I don't know if Patrick Wilson was one of the writers on the show or for the film, but I think whoever it was did a very good job bringing those realistic, tensious,
Right.
contentious moments to the film.
Yeah. And I mean, even shout out to the actors for being able to pull it off and like physically like portray it.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just like, because I feel like some actors don't get the fullness of it. Like they do pretty well, but they got like into it. Like you said, you could feel it. Like just the
Yeah.
uncomfortableness of each of those situations was just so real. And it was just like,
Yeah.
okay, like
Ooh.
next,
Yeah.
please. I also liked, what's the girl, her name's Chris.
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah. I think she did a really good job in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it didn't feel weird that she was there, like
Yeah.
while all of this was going on. It felt like a very smooth transition for her character coming into this movie.
Right.
And it wasn't like, how do I say it? Like she didn't come into it. I don't even know how to like really say it. She just wasn't weird about it. Like
She
she
felt like she
acted
fit
very
in the
normal.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like anybody would act that way, like kind of be curious and intrigued about like, oh, you can astro project. Yeah, like that's an interesting topic to like
until
bring
you
up.
get choked out and
then you're
you
gonna be
die.
freaking out, and why would I want to talk to you? And like I don't want to be around you right now.
Yeah.
Like, but you can see how much she does care about him as a person.
Oh yeah,
as a
for
friend.
sure.
And now she sees the dangers of it. So I'm gonna go check up on him. Like I'm gonna make sure he's okay. So just her character as a whole just felt very fitting and very real to that story. Like that seems like a very real thing that would be done. It didn't feel corny or cheesy and like this is the love interest. Like no, it was just two friends caring about each other, and she like it felt very, very real.
Yeah. I will also highlight the acting. I thought even Ty Simpkins, who has been in this franchise before a lot, he kind of explained before the film, like when you're a kid and you're in a horror movie, your acting job's really easy. It's like, oh, be scared or like ooh, act creepy. And like that's kind of the extent of like your acting range that you have to explore.
Right.
But I will say, like, in those moments of like confusion that he has, or being alienated from his dad, or his friendship that he has with Chris, I think he portrays all of those things really well. Like
Right.
his acting range is very impressive. It does still feel like he has a lot of growing room to do.
Yeah.
But being that he's only a 21-year-old actor, like I'm really excited to see him expand and do more variety of films and see him in more things.
Absolutely.
Even Patrick Wilson is a great actor. I love that he let being as a director, let the storyline in the film and Dalton take center stage.
Mm-hmm.
If you really look at his screen time, like, yes, he has the next most screen time after Dalton,
right?
But his portion of the film is largely secondary to what's going on with Dalton and Dalton's experience. And I really liked that and really respected that as a directorial choice for him.
Yeah.
And I also thought that, just for me, I thought that the horror sequences in this film were the best
I agree
that we've had in the Insidious franchise.
Yeah. I think obviously CGI has gotten a lot better, and you hope so, because it's been however many years. But yeah, like one of the scenes that I not always, it's been like almost a week, but that I've come back to is when Chris does come back into Dalton's room, and she like has all of her lights and everything, so it's not like pitch black and everything, and she's trying to fix it, and you can see in the background, like when the light comes on, you see his face. So it goes, and then that third time it's like a creepy demonic face, and you're just like uncomfortable. Like, didn't want to see that. Or like the demons coming under the bed at the end, like and then the close-up of the man with the red face, like through the door, that last shot. A lot of it, it was very well done, because I feel like, as we've talked about this even just now, it doesn't sound like we're talking about a scary movie. If anything, it just sounds like a cool, intriguing plot line, but it's a horror film.
100%.
And I think,
if not more so than like the first two films.
Absolutely. It's just cool to see that. And I've said this probably multiple times on the podcast now, but I like Insidious a lot because as a PG-13 horror film franchise, they nail every single aspect of what a horror film can be and should be. Like, it doesn't have to be rated R. Like, it doesn't have to have all of the cursing in the world that you could, or like some weird, gross things that nobody actually asked for. You don't have to be overly gory, or a lot of these things you don't need them to make a great horror film. Like, and I feel like they did that very, very well. The story was one of the best stories that I've seen probably in any like cinema. Like, I haven't seen a lot of movies, but the storyline, I don't know. I think throughout these three, it correlates very well. It transitions very smoothly. We get a good amount of like where we last left off. We go right into for the next film, and like for these three, I feel like it does that all very, very well. So
for sure. I will say, and I think that kind of segues into something that I thought they did really well. I thought that the resolution was very beautiful at the end, with Josh realizing, like, or wanting to, caring so much about his family and so much about Dalton, to let him go while like sacrificing himself, basically. But then Dalton recognizing that he can help out and do something, and caring enough, like getting to a point of caring enough where at the beginning he could kind of have cared less, but getting to the point where he cares enough to help his dad as well. But then also, and then like, there's the whole like painting that he put on his wall, which was like a really cool gesture of, caring, where he carries Dalton back in the first film, putting that up on his wall. But honestly, the part that I thought was the most beautifully executed was at the end, when they're back in the real world and Josh is having the conversation with Renee, and he's like, I'll drop off, or why don't I come help, Foster out with his homework on this day or whatever. And she's like, oh, if you want to come a little earlier, you can come for dinner.
Right.
And he's like, oh, that'd be really nice. And it doesn't tell you like this happily ever after, like, oh, our family's all good now. Like we're all, everything's cool. We're back together or whatever. And it doesn't give you just like no closure at all, but it gives you, I think, what happens when you work through those traumatic and difficult things together, that it gives you that hope, and it gives you a starting point to get to somewhere good from.
Yeah.
Without telling you how it's going to end,
Yeah.
because that's really where you're at when you go through something like that.
Right.
So I really like that a lot. But like, kind of to shift a little bit to like some of my critiques of the film, because I do have them. I don't mean to disrespect like whoever the artist was that actually, because I don't think Ty Simpkins painted all these things.
Right.
I wish they would have spent just a little more time on that painting at the end, because
yeah,
Josh's face is like, I don't know, it doesn't leave you with like the satisfying feeling of looking at like good artwork like that.
Yeah.
I wish they would have just done that a little differently, that piece of art, because I saw it in like a sold out theater, and like everyone was like, oh, like kind of like the sigh of like relief, and then it zoomed in on his face, and literally the whole theater like burst out laughing. Like the whole theater, just everybody started laughing. And I was like, that's not how I wanted to remember this moment in that film, because
that's comedy.
Yeah, it's such a good moment, and I was just like, could have nailed that a little bit better. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so that was the first thing. This isn't really a critique, but it's just like, I don't think it like adds to the movie per se. It felt like there was a lot of obvious cheap shots or low-hanging fruit, so to speak. Like it feels like they took a lot of things that like they know would target a specific person.
Yeah.
And then like forced it on that person, like the whole MRI thing. Like I know tons of people that are claustrophobic and like are totally afraid of MRIs.
Yeah.
Obviously that's going to freak the crap out of somebody if they're watching that and the lights turn off and nobody's responding, and then a freaking demon man is in your MRI machine. Yeah, that's going to freak you out if you're claustrophobic. So like, yeah, that's obvious. Or like the whole like kid at the frat party that died and then like throws up all over Dalton. If you have like a bad gag reflex and like, you get queasy when other people are sick, that's going to get you. Like, that's disgusting. Gross. That's going to happen. Another one kind of like on those same lines is just the portrayal of Dalton. I didn't mind it at all, but like the tortured artist is such a like obvious choice for a direction of a character, I feel like, for him. But in his case, I think it fits, and I think he pulls it off really well, and I think it works really well. It just seemed like kind of an obvious choice, which I don't think necessarily makes it bad. It's just an observation I had about it.
I think the only reason why they chose that is just because obviously we see him drawing pictures like in the very first one. So
sure.
Cool. Like I think that's a cool little segue into why he chose art in college.
Right.
I loved when he was in the class. I think those were like very little time, but super cool moments. I think it only happened twice. But I think him like getting into it and like that's kind of how it clicks to him, like, oh, something's really off.
Yeah.
Is through that class. But I thought it was super cool that like we did get to see more of him doing, or like, okay, that like obviously I'm in school and I'm going for art. I'm glad they actually put in scenes where he's at school doing art, because I know there's a couple movies I've seen where they'll tell you something but then never touch on it again, and it's like, okay, well then why was that important for us to know at all? Like it wasn't. Right. So I'm glad, and I think they did a really good job in that environment. So that was really cool too.
Yeah, I also really liked, speaking of that, the art teacher's line where she walks over, he kind of cuts his hand while he's painting because he's going so ham. And she comes over and gives him a Band-Aid and she says, is it keeping you in or keeping you out?
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, like, wow. that was, I don't know. And like saying it right now sounds really cheesy, but like in the context of the
Yeah, no,
film,
it was
very
super.
cool and very
Yeah,
deep. I was like, whoa.
yeah. It gave me like that like uneasy feeling, like, whoa, what is
Yeah.
it doing?
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
yeah,
Um, yeah, the other thing that I wanted to mention was I gave a lot of praise to Patrick Wilson as a director. I think he does direct the film pretty well.
yeah,
I think there's some pretty good writing in it. Um, one of the things that I was concerned about walking into this film, and I think it was Michael B. Jordan that talked about it after Creed 3, which he also directed and
right.
starred in, was the idea that, someone in an interview, I believe it was him, they asked, do you feel like you can't fully commit yourself to both things when you're starring and directing?
Mhm.
And he was like 100%. Like
Mm.
there's days when I walk in and I know I didn't give my best acting, or I know I didn't give my best directing.
Mm.
And I was like, it makes sense, right? Like when
Right,
one, that's your job. So you're doing two full-time jobs pretty much.
right.
And you have your life outside of your job, right? And so something's going to suffer. And so I was worried that like, oh, maybe he's going to spread himself a little too thin. He did do a pretty good job. I don't think he outrageously did, a bad job with
Yeah,
either. But I do feel like there was moments in the film where the directing maybe, or like, again, I don't know if he wrote it, but like the directing and the writing wasn't quite up to the same level that it was throughout the rest of the movie.
yeah,
And I think that was kind of evident in some of the climactic moments of the movie,
mhm.
where like it felt like it was building up to this big, intense moment, and it does, but it just wasn't executed fully in like a way that left me really satisfied. Like, oh my gosh, like what did we just watch?
Yeah,
And some of that could just be like, oh, maybe if they had a better budget, they could do a little bit better special effects or a little better
right.
makeup or whatever it might have been for the given moment. But then again, kind of like what we talked about earlier, if they had the opportunity to lengthen the film, they could have lengthened that climactic moment, because you get into this spot where Dalton is possessed and trapped in the further,
Yeah,
and then it's just kind of over. Like it just kind of ends
yeah.
like 2 minutes
Like, and then
later.
he's not possessed anymore. And I mean,
Yeah.
like, yeah, yeah. I do wish that that part was lengthened, because Dalton's demon is crazy, like crazy dude, and he finally got Dalton's body.
Mm-hmm.
But then he hears Dalton getting broken up. What is Dalton gonna do?
Well, yeah, and I mean,
He's stuck there. Like, you got
yeah,
his body. What is? Why are you freaking out? You won. You
yeah,
just won. Why are you going back?
yeah.
Like, yeah, I kind of wish they
And
expounded that.
we got an entire movie when Josh got possessed. Like the
Yeah,
entire second movie is
yeah,
Josh possessed. And I'm not saying you need to do that, but like more than 3 minutes, like a
yeah,
little bit more than 3 minutes would have been nice. So anyways, I just felt like those kind of moments, and again, I don't know if all that's on Patrick Wilson. That was just what I had in my mind. And so kind of maybe what I attributed to why it felt that way. Like,
mhm,
maybe if he had done one or the other, or had the
right,
opportunity to kind of spend more time on it, maybe then it would have been a little more satisfying. But
yeah,
yeah, that's kind of where I got with that.
yeah. I don't see another movie coming, at least with this family. I think
Mm-hmm.
they're pretty much done,
Yeah.
which it kind of makes me a little disappointed, because I feel like if you get a really good trilogy done and it's done, they're not going to touch it anymore. I usually want to be felt like content.
Just
I'm
leave it.
happy with how this has ended.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I necessarily got that, even though I did really enjoy the last movie and the entirety of all three put together.
Yeah.
But there are some of those moments throughout that movie where it is like, okay, well, like now I want more. Like, you
Right.
could do so much more with
Sure.
this character and that one, but you're done. So it's like, I'm more sad that it's over, because I feel like there could have been so much more brought out.
Yeah, for sure. And again, like for me, it just comes back to like, I don't know if another full movie was needed for me to get that feeling, but I do think at least giving it like a little bit more time. And
Yeah.
it's not often that I walk into a movie or walk out of a movie and I'm like, that needed to be longer.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
most of the time, even if it's only an hour and a half, I'm like, oh, cool. Like, way to
Yeah.
pack a punch and get it, everything that needed to happen in an hour and a half.
Right.
And I do think they got everything done that needed to be done, so to speak. But it would have been nice to spend a little bit more time on some of those things.
Right.
And like really my last criticism kind of segueing off of that, there was some super cheesy writing sometimes. Like, not to single people out, but like Dalton calls his younger brother Foster, who's at home,
Yeah.
and Foster's like trying to like explain something to him, and like I don't know if he can't get the words. I kind of remember exactly what they're saying in the moment, but Dalton goes, "What is it, little brother?"
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah.
nobody talks on the phone like that. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah. No.
So
Yeah, that part was
anyway, there's a couple little
questionable.
moments like that kind
Yeah.
of I was like, but anyways,
Yeah. I don't really have.
yeah, I
much
think
to
like
say.
just to kind of wrap it all up, I think objectively the first film, if I'm talking about what the best films are, I think the first film would be the best if I'm talking about it objectively.
Yeah.
But I think if I'm talking about my favorites, I think that would be the last. At least
Yeah.
out of these three.
Yeah.
I think it would be my least favorite. I think I enjoyed the second one more because of how well it built on the plot line of the first film.
Right.
But I do think this was probably, and again, like it may just be because I just saw it recently and I just finished watching all three of these films, but this one might be like my favorite watching experience. Like I may have enjoyed watching this film the most out of the three.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think.
You have deep thought about this one.
I don't know how my feelings about the second one. I might love the second one the most.
Interesting. Yeah.
Just because, and I mean, I think I love all of these films for very different reasons. And for that, I don't think I can truly like choose a favorite one.
Sure.
But I think the second one is only so good because of how they built off of the first one.
Right.
But the second one was just like, I don't know. I liked the in depth of a singular possession and like the past of that. Like they did really, really well on it. And even like the plot twist like was really good. Like something you didn't, at least me, like I didn't expect that whatsoever. Because that's just outlandish. Like you turned your boy into like you made him dress up as a girl and he didn't want that. And then you beat him because he didn't want to be a girl. Yeah, so that threw me off that he was a girl.
Yeah, I mean, and like I will say in that one, I like that they like took a route that, because I mean, like that happens to people, like that happens to people that have mental illness of that level, like that, like it's not well, it's not common, but it's not like something that's never happened before,
right?
Well, but yeah, I will say I think I do enjoy the second one a lot. I will agree that as a standalone movie, if you were to just watch the second one, it wouldn't be good. But I think in the context of it being a sequel, it's a brilliantly executed sequel.
Yeah. Especially because there are parts of that movie where like you, from Josh's perspective, you see Josh and Dalton from the first movie in the further,
right?
Like so then you kind of just sit there like, what is going on?
yeah. If you haven't seen the first one, it doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, but I think for the high level intensity that is put in that movie, because I feel like that's the most intense out of the three. I feel like that one,
the second one,
is the most intense. Not scary, but intense, definitely. And I think I like that in a horror film, like because it wasn't really scary. It had its like jump scares.
Sure.
I wouldn't say it was scary. I'd just say it's super intense. I'm like, it's terrible. But yeah, so I think I like the second one the most. But like I said, all for different reasons. But
yeah, I think we both enjoyed it. I just based on like how I feel right now, and honestly, I don't know if I've seen 10 movies that's come out this year. I don't know that I would put it in my best 10 movies, but it for sure like be one of my most enjoyable movies that I saw this year, just because I really liked what I got out of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, valid.
Yeah. Anything else from Insidious, The Red Door that you want to talk about?
No,
that's about it.
yeah.
Well, check us out on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and Instagram. Full videos on YouTube. You can roast us anywhere. That's the popular thing to do these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll I don't know what we're gonna talk about next week. We haven't really talked about that yet, but
We'll figure it out.
figure something out.
Yeah.
Yeah, new episodes coming out every Wednesday. Maybe we'll just like
No. What?
or whoa,
Mondays.
Monday.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Wednesday for some reason. I don't know why. I
Well,
probably have something important on Wednesday that I
Probably.
like don't remember, and that's worrying me now.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I have to do something on my computer and I haven't figured it out yet.
No.
Like for the last 3 days. There's something I need to do.
And you don't remember what it is.
I can't
Yeah.
put my finger on it.
It's
so.
it's a classic. Well, we make new episodes that come out Mondays. And yeah, check us out wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go take a nap. Oh, I had